is up. The West Virginia pass defense is all I can think about. West Virginia wins the game, and yet all I can think about is the West Virginia pass defense. Are you feeling the same way I am? Every time you turned around, did you see a quarterback in his second career start absolutely shred the Mountaineers defense? Because I did. We got a lot to talk about, man. And it's not all gravy. With the win, if you're looking for some positivity, this may not be your place tonight. This is Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. This is another edition of Locked On West Virginia. Thank you guys for joining in. Appreciate that. Man, a lot of good, a lot of bad, right? I'm not sure what to do here. I think where I'm going to start is offensively. We'll start there. Let's get a little bit of positivity. But thank you guys for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, on YouTube, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, guys. So West Virginia wins the football game. And handily, really. I mean, when you look at the score, let me pull up this West Virginia versus Albany score. Hopefully it hasn't changed because my thumbnail reflected. All right. Yeah, it's still the same. Okay, cool. All right, let's share that screen really quick. All right, so 49-14, West Virginia wins the football game, and we should be happy. And I am happy to an extent. I am. I think there were some things that to build off of. This is obviously a team still getting its crap together. But man, disappointing all the same. That 14 is good. We'll take 14 every week, right? But we all know it could have been 28-35, right? This could have been a Power 5 team against – I know I'm talking loud. Against a Power 5 team, this is 49-35 or worse, easily. It was – and I'm basing that off of Albany's chances, the 4th and 1s that they had that most Power 5 teams would have been able to get. The chances they had in the red zone that they couldn't run the ball because they were smaller than us. Most Power 5 teams aren't going to have that problem. Pitt's not going to have that problem next week. The kid they've got in the backfield, Zero, is an absolute beast. He's Jaheim White. He plays just like Jaheim White. So let's look at the Albany, and I've got something going on with my computer, so forgive me, but okay, so Miles Burkett, who is, by the way, if you can't tell, was highly rated coming out of high school, 4-star player. He picked himself up some FBS offers tonight. That kid needs to be in an FBS locker room next year. This kid, this is his second career start. 18-39, 306 yards and a touchdown, and should have been more. Seven McGee, had he not cramped up, probably could have went for 130, 140, 150 tonight. We didn't have anybody that can guard him. We didn't have anybody that could guard Seven McGee. Hollis gets beat 2 weeks in a row at the end of the half. Just got shredded. We can't have this, guys. I'm happy we got the win. And I know some of you guys are going to be upset with me probably for coming at it this way, right? And putting Leslie on the thumbnail and all that. But all we heard all offseason, and I fell for it again. We've done this once before. I don't know if you remember. We had an offseason where we picked up a bunch of defensive backs And the same exact thing was said. We're bigger. We're more physical back there. We've got better, more length. We've got more speed back there. And that was the year that Hershey McLaurin came in. And it was a whole other year before Hershey McLaurin actually had a good year for us. That year, there was two other players. Their names are slipping my mind right now. They were freaking awful. I have to go back and look at the 2022 transfer portal class, but obviously it wasn't good. And what did we hear from Leslie this year? Well, we can do some things with Hollis, right? We can do some things in man coverage that we couldn't do before with Hollis. 2 weeks in a row, man coverage, under 2 minutes to go in the half, and this dude gets beat in man coverage. Sickening. And, Neil Brown coming out at half said it's one player. I don't want to put this all on Hollis because he's a kid and it makes me feel horrible. But he's the one that got beat, right? I mean, it wasn't anybody else. It was number one or number two. Which one was it? Number one or number two? Can somebody tell me? I can't even think right now. I'm so mad over it. I just – unbelievable, to be able to stop the run like we have and for our pass defense to be equally as it's the antithesis of our run defense, like we played pretty well against Pitt State last week. We got worn down. It was 100 degrees. We really held those guys in check for most of the game. And any normal game probably would have, it was 100 degrees outside, for goodness sakes. Does anybody know what happened to Jaheim White, by the way? Or did they just hold him out? I didn't hear what was said. Where's that at? Where's that comment at? Yeah, I disagree, Matt. I don't think they're terrible at all. They've got skill talent. Absolutely. They've got a running back that would start anywhere almost in the country. I'm not sold on Holstein, no. I mean, he's not a great – the kid we played tonight's a better quarterback. But if you want to talk about skill talent, Pitt does have that. And look, they go 3-4 deep at the receiver spot. They've got a tight end that's pretty good in Bartholomew. Or is it Fairchild? One of the two. I'm getting Kansas and Pitt mixed up now. But Kanata Mumfield can play, obviously. Stevens can play. That number 0 can play. Like, they've got a lot of skill talent there at Pitt. Just saying. Quarterback-wise, no, they're not there, in my opinion. Now, they believe in Holstein. We'll see. But he did 2 weeks in a row. This is 2 weeks in a row. It's one thing to do it against Penn State, Jared. It's another thing to do it against an FCS opponent over and over again. And it wasn't just him. Did you not see the pass interference in the end zone? Dantes Fagan, his back turned to a football that easily could have been picked off. Like, this is a coaching thing. This is a defensive back problem. So, listen, you go out and get 6 defensive backs in the transfer portal, right? And you're trying to slam them all together and put a secondary together in one off season, and it's just not working yet. I do think this secondary will get better. I don't think there's a lack of look. I don't think it's not that they're not talented. They do have some talent, but there are some things, man, like I wish I could play tape, but unfortunately I can't right now because I would get in trouble with copyright. But player stats here. So a low passing percentage for Burkett, but this is a quarterback in his second career start ever. Second career start ever at the FCS level. Throwing for 300 yards. No picks. Should have had a couple. And then look at this. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different players caught a ball from them tonight, guys. How can it just be Hollis if 9 guys caught a ball? 7 McGee had 4 catches for 90 yards. That was almost all of the first half. He cramped up, and we're probably lucky he did. Levi Wentz, number 11, can run. So can Marquise Dietz, or Dietz, or however they say his name. 22.5 yards per catch for 7 McGee. 29 yards a catch for Levi Wentz. 14 yards a catch for Dietz. 22 yards a catch for Carter. Like, come on. What is going on here? On the West Virginia side, what an offensive performance. It could have been way better. There was some fumble, a couple mistakes, a couple miscues here and there. But if you look, anytime Jaheim and CJ both go for 100, you've had a good day, right? Jaheim White had 10 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. CJ Donaldson, 14 carries, 125 yards and a touchdown. We'll take that every week. Thank you very much. Garrett Green, 7 carries, 68 yards and a touchdown. Nico had 1 carry, 12 yards and a touchdown. This is what, the rushing attack still looks to be pretty much there, It didn't show up last week, but I do believe it's still fine. Cole Taylor had a pretty good game. 3 catches, 47 yards and a touchdown, 15 yards a catch and a touchdown. Jaden Bray caught a 44-yard ball. It was nice to see him show up. Dang, I really wanted to see, Day should have had a touchdown pass caught, and he dropped the ball. He's a freshman. He'll fix that. But you look at the team stats here. They had 375 total yards, 306 of which were passing yards, 5.1 yards per play, 21 first downs, 7 for 16 on third down, which is good. We were 1 for 6 on third down, guys, against an FCS team. Like, there are things, if you look at the numbers here, to worry about for us. Pitt's not the slam dunk win that I thought it was going to be the last 2 weeks. Even after Penn State, I felt better than I do today. I just do. Man, let's look at some comments here. Let me go to break really quick, guys. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, obviously we have more to get to, not just the negative stuff. I know I've been negative, and I apologize. We're going to do a game recap. So stick around, guys. We'll be right back. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who are actively searching for a new job might be open for the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. That's the fastest in the country. Hire professionals like a professional, and that's on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have time to find resources or to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make that process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. That equates to 2.5 million businesses using LinkedIn for hiring purposes alone. Call to action today is you got to post your job on linkedin.com/lockedoncollegefootball. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Yeah, that was wild, wasn't it, Smack? Smack the Devil. Bowling Green almost beat Pitt State today. And look, there was nobody rooting harder for Bowling Green than this guy, right? I was rooting for Bowling Green like crazy. I'm sure a couple of you guys were. There were some Pitt State fans that I most definitely uh, was looking to get back at, let's just say. Hey, Duggity Dog, good to see you in here. Doug Cross, one of my favorites. Gibby always found a way to scheme up some chaos and unpredictability that often saved us with our lack of back end talent. That is absolutely right. You know, I could go back to, and Castile did it too, Doug. You go back to the Oklahoma game. I know this is a long time ago, but it's just fresh in my memory because I just watched it recently. The Oklahoma game, like we had nothing for the Oklahoma and Sam Bradford and those guys, but we sit safeties, we sit corners, we sit everybody, and Sam Bradford was never able to get comfortable with that game. I just I'll never forget. Like we had one point we had a defensive back get hit in the stomach by a ball from Bradford because he was right up in his face jumping. Like it was like he never got comfortable. And I feel like we set the heat at this kid today. We did. Like we hit their quarterback a lot today, but he made some throws now. Like he made a couple throws that I was like, oh wow, like that Burkett kid is good. Like I truly believe after watching him today, he's got a Power 5 arm and maybe an NFL arm. Like that kid is really good. If I'm Neil Brown, I'm recruiting him in the offseason. That's how sold I am on Burkett from that team today. Like he is really good. He's really good. Is the pass defense bad schemes because we have talent back there? That's what you've been told, Don. Unfortunately, I think the defense will get better the more they play together. I didn't see the game. I refuse to pay for ESPN Plus. Is Leslie the problem? I don't know. I definitely think he's part of the problem. I definitely think he's part of the problem for sure because 2 weeks, I keep going back to this, but 2 weeks in a row, you have a touchdown in the half, right? Like, it's just disheartening, and like I went back and watched it a couple times. It wasn't even close, like flat-footed, even they're leaving. Like I'm serious. Like if you go back and watch the touchdown with McGee at the end of the half, first of all, Seven McGee is an Oregon transfer. He's a Power 5 talent. He's very similar to trying to think of who he's similar to. He's like a Preston Fox, but faster, like he's got a little bit more top end speed and really good route runner, but he got on top of Hollis, and Hollis was standing flat footed. And once they got even with each other, it was over with. He couldn't catch back up on that deep dig. And there was your touchdown. So I don't know, maybe it's just they're not comfortable. I'm not really sure, I'm not really sure. I don't know enough about defensive schemes to sit here and break it down and say this is exactly the problem. But I do know that we got caught man coverage on islands at the end of a half 2 weeks in a row, And one thing I want to say here is I thought about doing a show on this, and I want you to listen close, guys, to this. If you listened to Jordan Leslie's press conference last week, what did he say? I got caught playing the tendency of that team rather than playing the situation we were in, right? Those were his exact words, or I guess I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but basically he said, I got caught playing the tendency that they have in that situation rather than just playing the situation. like on 3rd and long, right? You usually back up to the sticks and let the ball stay. Try to keep the ball in front of you, make a tackle just in front of the sticks, make a punt. Or if their tendency is to throw this route or that route or do this, maybe you send a quarter off the edge. Although it vacates a zone, they never go to that zone, right? Well, in that situation, they did go to that zone. And so what I'm trying to get at here is, does this staff use analytics too much? Because I think that could be part of the problem. I don't have absolute knowledge of this, but when I heard Leslie say that last week, it really kind of woke me up to the fact that in real time, these guys are using analytics to make calls, and I know analytics have their place. I know they do. I'm not saying they don't, but goodness gracious, y'all. I just wondered, did he get caught 2 weeks in a row with analytics? I just sometimes wonder about it. I feel like my belief system is you go with your gut first as a play caller, and then you fall back on the analytics. That's just me though, and unfortunately, he got caught last week. On the Pitt State game, playing the analytics, and they got beat, right? And then here we go again this week, or where you play the analytics under a minute to go in the half, and then get beat again. I would love to know the answer. Yes, Iowa State was a bright light, Mike G. Thank you for bringing that up. It only means that our schedule is harder, right? Unfortunately. Now, one thing about Iowa is you're not going to have to worry about them throwing the ball over the yard on anybody. So as long as you can score on them, you're in good shape, which is no easy task. I would say Dusty DeVries is probably in bad shape today. He's a big Iowa fan. Obviously, he played there. Darren DeVries' brother, I don't know if you guys remember on the Hoops of the Hills, I had Dusty DeVries on the show, Coach Darren DeVries' brother. Both his brothers played for Iowa. Jared DeVries, who played for the Lions for 12 years, played for Iowa. That's Coach Darren DeVries' brother. And then his other brother, Dusty, who I talk to every week, also played for Iowa. So I'd say they're in bad shape today. I've kind of been rooting for Iowa a little bit because of them, but obviously when the Big 12 is on the line, I had to root for Iowa State today. But generally, I've been rooting for Iowa because of the DeVries guys. Matt's going 20-5 against the spread today. Hell yeah, brother. You didn't expect him to win. Okay. Kansas is only up 17-13. Illinois is scrappy, though. They gave Penn State a game last year, too. What's up, Doug? He said Okie Light will not be ranked. Probably tough games against Kansas State and Utah before we play them. You basing that off today's performance, Doug? I'm just curious, how they play today. Because I've heard some other people say that some people are looking at this Arkansas victory in double overtime as a bad thing for them. And it could be that Arkansas is a lot better than people realize too, right? Their quarterback's definitely good. And they had some good players. I watched some of that game. I certainly expected Oklahoma State to win by more than just a touchdown in double overtime, but still, it's an SEC team that's supposed to have all the advantages over a team like Oklahoma State, right? They're supposed to have the money, or they do have the money. They're supposed to have the recruiting base in Texas, although Oklahoma State does as well. They're recruiting the same players, basically. 14-5 with 5 games left. Well, good luck to you, brother. I hope you win. We definitely won't be Pitt playing like we did today. Yeah, let's get to that really quick. Pitt has some skill talent this year. Let me just pull something up really quick. First of all, what a game today, 28-27. But Holstein threw for 300 yards last week as well. And so he's got, I think, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, or 1 pick. I think he's got 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a pick on the year. Like he's got good numbers. Holstein does. But when I watch him throw the football, it's inaccurate at times. It is. They've just got good skill talent. Like, okay, Desmond Reed will be one of the best backs we played all year, and we play in a conference with really good backs. Desmond Reed's the best back they've had there in a long time. Like, I am extremely, extremely impressed with him. If you haven't seen Desmond Reed play yet for Pitt, go check him out. He is an absolute stud, guys. We're going to have our hands full next week with Desmond Reed. I'm just telling you. He scares me. He puts the fear in me. Like, I'm worried about that guy. I think Josiah Trotter might have something for him. We'll see. Kanata Mumfield had 5 receptions, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns today. Last week, he wasn't even their guy, Desmond Reed had 6 receptions for 106 yards today, guys. So it's wild, man. Sincere Lee, Gavin Bartholomew, like they go super deep at receiver, guys. I'm telling you. Sincere Lee had over close to 100 yards last week. I remember seeing. Bartholomew had a few catches last week. He's a good tight end. They really are. And they might be sacked a lot, yeah. But as far as skill talent goes, they're right there with us. They really are. It's going to be a fun game next week. We'll see. Yeah, no, that might happen. I just, I never want to count out a Narduzzi defense because he can scheme up, And my expectations have dropped a whole lot in the last 2 weeks, guys. I'm not going to lie. Starting out this year, I was dreaming big. I have on purpose, brought my expectations down because I don't want to be let down like I was against Pitt State again. It took me a couple days to recover from that. Raise your hand if it took you a couple days to recover from that. I just wasn't happy with our performance at all. All right, guys. Up next on Locked On College Football, we're going to talk, or Locked On College Football, Locked On West Virginia. We're going to continue to talk about this game. I'm going to answer some more of your questions, and then we're going to close it out. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Game Time. That's right, Game Time. I went to not the 2008, but the 2007. I had that mistaken last time. It was the 2007 Gator Bowl. I watched Calvin Johnson. I was sitting in the end zone of the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium, and I watched Calvin Johnson carve us up for over 200 yards receiving with the backup quarterback. But Pat White was a warrior that day. Steve Slayton went out in that game. He had hamstring issues. I'll never forget it. And Pat White lifted us to a bowl win. Turned out to be his 3rd bowl win of his career, and he would still go on to have one more against North Carolina even after that. What a warrior Pat White was for us. And you know what? Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that we just didn't have back then. It makes getting tickets for your favorite live events a lot easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Pick an upcoming live event on the app, browse through the seats on Game Time Picks, and talk about the great deals you find. You can talk about the super deal. You can have app features that you like in there. You can customize your own spot. But Game Time Picks makes curation easy, guys. It really does. You can save more on sports, comedies, concerts, theaters, etc. All-in pricing, toggling on that feature is necessary if you want to have the customization spot on. Seat views, you can get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, which is big. They give you a low price guarantee as well, 100%, 110% the difference the other way if you find somewhere that's better than they are. Game time ticket coverage is also covered by the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, guys. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. It's that easy. Terms do apply, but you have to create an account, redeem the code, which is just spelling out LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College. That gets you $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, guys. So having trouble keeping up with all your comments, but I'll go with Andy here. We had the receivers covered for the most part. They just let them catch the ball. There was a couple instances of that, I will give you. The Dantes Fagan one, I'll go back to that in the end zone. All you had to do was turn around, right? And then it's an interception. So, that's easily fixable. He was there. He was there. And we still held him out in the end zone, so that was great. But I guess I need to get to my ultimate question here. Jordan Leslie on thin ice. The 2020 to 2021 defenses were not good. They were great. They really were. They were great. The 2020 defense, I think, was top 10. 2021 was top 30, 40. I don't have the numbers right in front of me here, but let's just look it up really quick. I mean, hold on. Let's see. 2020 overall defense, college football. Yeah, so I want to look at the overall defenses here. So West Virginia had the fourth-ranked defense in 2020, right? They allowed under 3,000, under. Let me make sure I'm right here. They allowed 1,300 rushing yards and 1,500 passing yards for a season. That's insanely good on 626 plays. Under 5 yards a play. 290 yards a game. An FCS quarterback just did more than that in one game. Fourth in the country. That's a Jordan Leslie defense. He deserves credit for that. Right? I mean, we have to paint, if we're going to paint a picture, we got to paint the whole picture. That's just the way I look at it. In 2021, West Virginia had the 37th ranked defense. We'll take that. We'll take that. We'll take it now this year. Give it to me right now. Top 40, you could win a Big 12 championship with a top 50 defense. You could win a national championship with a top 30 defense. We've seen it. Right? Go past 2021, though. What about 2022, right? (2022) Still scrolling. Still scrolling. Still scrolling. 98 for 2022. And listen, I'm leaving out some key details in some of this. Like, we may have had good rush defense one of these years, good pass the other. I'm not diving through the numbers. This is just overall defense. 2023, we're talking about, I don't even know why I'm starting up here at the top, but we're going to do it anyway. So in 2023, West Virginia had, this is just painting a picture for Jordan Leslie, 68. That's right. 68th defense. And so now here we are. So he did get a little better last year. Top 70 is not good enough, right? Or, 68, 70 is basically what I'm going to call that. Is not good enough. 98th the year before that. So what happened? What was working in 2020 and 2021 that's not working in 2023 and 2024, right? That's the question I don't know the answer to. Jordan Leslie was a younger defensive coordinator those years. Is he got too much information now? Because we just found out last week that analytics plays a huge part in how he calls games, right? So I'm just curious, is Jordan Leslie on thin ice? Should he be on thin ice? What do you guys think? Doug, what do you think? Should Jordan Leslie be on thin ice? Neil Brown, one thing he's never had to do unless he was made to do it, change coordinators in a season. Now, look, if we win 6 games, I'll probably be up for just removing everybody. That'll be me. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with just winning 6 games this year with this team. And we can pay a better defensive coordinator. We can. It's just frustrating, because I used those 2 years from Leslie, 21 and 22. I held on to those for a couple years. 22 and 23. Whenever he had a bad year in 2022, I said, well, he had a top 30 defense in 2021 and he had a top 5 defense in 2020 and a top 30 defense in 2021. You're not going to find anybody that comes in here and does better than that. And then you've gone up to now you're in the 70s and almost 100th in 2023, right? So what has happened to Jordan Leslie in the defense that he's calling? Is it the analytics? Too much information? Is there tape out on his – listen, it's much like, okay, just like there's film on defenses, there's film on players. Let's say there's a good fighter, a good boxer coming up. He wins 10 fights, gets 10 knockouts. Then all of a sudden you start to see he has to start grinding his way through fights. Why is that? Because people get tape on you, right? People get tape on you. They make adjustments. Similarly to that, play callers have tendencies. And unless they break them wholeheartedly and 100%, they'll be locked into a certain tendency. And the better offensive coordinators will slice and dice you to pieces. If there's a 70% chance that you're going to do this almost no matter what, odds are that I can run this play that works against that, right? It's not rocket science. And so if you're not changing with the game, 2020, 2021, top 30 defense. 2022, 2023, and maybe 2024 or what? Top. If you average out 2022 and 2023, you're talking about probably 70s, somewhere there. So let's say you're averaging in the last 2 years to be in the 70s. That's not good enough. Not if you want to win. You got to have a 2012 type offense to win at that level, right? You got to have that Will Greer squad, the one that went back and forth with Oklahoma. You got to have an offense like that to win with the defense in the 70s. And even then, you don't win championships. We know this. So we're Jordan Leslie. Is he holding this team back? Is he holding Neil Brown back? Is Neil Brown too loyal? Let me know down below, guys. Don't forget to like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Glad to see people in here like Doug Cross, who I have a lot of respect for. Doogity Dog, as we like to call him, the greatest highlight tape of all time. We know that. Love seeing Smack in here again. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. If we don't go down at 3, I stop trusting the climb. And look, here's the part that sucks, guys. We just won a football game. And 99% of the time, I'm ecstatic just to win the football game. If this is Pitt, I'm probably not focusing on it as much, right? But we just played it. Just put this in context really quick. It's hard for me to even wrap my mind around it. They replaced all 11 starters, guys. I interviewed a guy. If you go back a couple days and look, I interviewed a guy. All 11 starters were replaced. For that team today. Brand new quarterback in his second start, albeit a 4-star kid. Oregon transfer in his second start, albeit a 4-star kid. Shredding a defense at the Power 5 level with an FCS offensive line, tight end, running back. It's not good enough, Jordan Leslie. It's not good enough. On the plus side, I probably wouldn't be watching this if we look good. Are you saying you wouldn't have found this, or you just wouldn't be watching it? Curious to know what you mean there. Who are we going to hire if we fire Brown? We have no money. Matt, that's a good question. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say we don't have any money, but I'm not impressed. Says sky's the limit. We are broke. People think we got money. We got money to hire somebody if we have to. We can pay what we're paying Neil Brown, which is like right around $4 million. Look, I've already thought about this. There's almost no way it happens, right? Nick Saban, I think he left football because of the way football is right now. But obviously, if that were to ever happen, first of all, he's getting older. But I wouldn't say no to it. But it would only be for like 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, if it did happen. But it would be a heck of a 2 or 3 years. I don't know if Saban's young enough to turn a program around like West Virginia. That would be the major thing. And it's like we've got this season to worry about, and I don't want to disrespect Neil Brown too badly by talking about Nick Saban when we've got Neil Brown at the moment. And offense looks pretty good today, but certainly this is a conversation we'll have if things don't get better, right? We'll have this conversation. It's just, after a win, even though our defense didn't play well, I do believe they can get better. I think they've got the athletes back there. They've got the options to try different things. And whatever they have to do, they've got to fix it before next week, right? Pitt came back from 29. It was 20. What was it? 29-7 or whatever it was. I saw today. So they're riding high. They've got a lot of confidence, guys. That will be a really good win if we can get it. Don't let anybody tell you different. If we can beat Pitt next week, that'll be a good win, and it'll catapult us into Kansas. I do believe that. But will it? Can we beat them at Pitt? We'll see. Law Talk. Hey, good to see you again. I watched the Pitt game and ours. I'm nervous. They got a lot of skill talent. There's no doubt about it. Desmond Reed is as good as anybody we have on our offense. He's really good. If you get time today, guys, go look at number 0 for Pitt. You'll be impressed. He's definitely a dual threat. He can run it. He can catch it. He's good. Matt's got WV winning by 17 next week. I'll see you then. Random poster, sort of like you said, WV by 14 over Albany. You're not talking to me. Sky is the limit. Love your show, brother. Thanks, man. Appreciate you very much. I appreciate you for coming here. How about Bowling Green? Yeah, they played better than we did, Drum Wolf. No doubt about that. Now, look, here's the thing. It's easy to say. First of all, this is the second time we faced a Kodalnicki team without knowing what he was going to run with the personnel that he has. The Kansas team that came to Morgantown in 2023, that was, or 2022 maybe. I'm trying to think which year that was, but that was, I think, their first game in the Big 12 was against us before they got turned around. And we just didn't know what they were going to run. We had the Buffalo stuff to look at. We had Wisconsin Whitewater stuff, I think. We didn't know what they were going to run. And they played FCS team the week before us. And Kodalnicki and company did not unveil their offense. So we didn't know what they were going to run. And outscored us on their way to a victory, that JT Daniels team. This is the second time that Colton Dickey's got to come into Morgantown without showing his hand. So I do want to put that out there because Bowling Green had tape on what they were going to do, right? Bowling Green knew what they were going to run to an extent. And I feel like that gives you an advantage. So, I don't know. Pitt State was more hungover today. I feel more confident after the Albany game about beating Pitt than before. How bad can you beat a team? 70-0. WVU beat Pitt. I'm out. I'm 14-5 today. Thanks, Matt. Doug, I hope Leslie feels like this was a loss. It is reevaluating a lot of things. So we look at our best against Pitt. I agree. 1,000% agree with that. Go Ears 206, we stuffed the run. They threw nonstop. Why do you all think our corners are going to stop every pass play? What about every down Albany pass? Well, Go Ears, listen. I'll say it again. This was a quarterback in his second start ever. Ever. A freshman. Redshirt freshman, I think. That threw for 300 yards against an FBS team with FCS talent. It's not that they had to throw the ball every time. It has nothing to do with it. It's that they completed them. And when they completed them and how. Right before the half again, 2 weeks in a row. There's something wrong with that. We get caught in man coverage before the half 2 weeks in a row. It's almost like Leslie was like, you know what? I'm going to show him we can run man before the half, and not get caught off guard or something, like some kind of, I don't know what he was doing. Random poster says Bowling Green's better than West Virginia. I mean, you can't base anything off of one game, brother. That means Appalachian State was better than Ohio State the year they beat Michigan, right? That's just not how it works, man. I'm losing the rest of my hair on my legs this season with this team. There's none on my head anymore. Slayer Sloth, better coaching. PA Mountaineer, Bowling Green put up 24 points in the first half. The second, they only put up 3 points. Pitt State adjusted at halftime. Yeah, but if West Virginia does that, they probably win the game, don't they? Josh Campbell, what's your thoughts on going out and recruiting good DBs instead of getting these guys from the portal and hope they do well? It's paid off with Beatty. However, it doesn't seem like it's working this year. It also worked with Charles Woods, Josh, but it also worked with Hershey. It worked with Jasir Cox. It's worked, but your point is well taken. I think it works, but this is just my opinion. I think the reason we're better down the stretch in these years is because a lot to do with that. I think our defensive backfields get better as the year goes on, and our defense overall gets better as the year goes on because it just takes a year to adjust as a defense, right? It's not ironic. It's not lost on me that the 2 years that Leslie's had a good defense at West Virginia, those were very veteran defenses. Go look at who was on those rosters. Like, it was a lot of players that were here for a long time, So that's wild. Neil just said Shadon had to call one series on defense when Leslie got hit on the sideline. Please, let me find out. It was the series that they scored a touchdown. Bowling Green has had 2 smash games. Yeah, one was against a low-tier school, but they hung in there to the wire with a team that beat WVU by 20 at Penn State. It's just not comparable. you can't compare you can't compare games to games. It just doesn't work. But you've tried it for years. You base who's going to beat somebody off who they beat before, and you'll lose way more games than you win. You know, Bowling Green had a better plan. They weren't scared. They were playing at Penn State. Basically, here's what it comes down to. This is my opinion. This is exactly why we lost the game. Number one, Penn State's just better. But number two, West Virginia had an entire week's worth of bowl-esque hype. I mean, it was at least in the tier of a bowl game, in a high-end bowl game at that, of just Pat McAfee and Machine Gun Kelly, jet flyovers. Coke was handing out rally towels. Nick Saban, Kirk Herbstreit. Everybody feed these kids Kool-Aid. It's all on social media. You've got kids coming out from West Virginia, Garnett Hollis being one, Eddie Vestoretta being the other, and saying, we saw what they did to us last year, scoring with time running out. Hollis is saying, when I was at Northwestern, all they cared about was Ohio State and Michigan. And Franklin, all he has to do is turn on the freaking TV, right? And show these guys, hey, look, this is what they think about you guys. Even though you beat them by double digits last year. No respect. And they came out and played like it. You see how much energy they had? The things they were saying to us, like we were catching on the mic on the sidelines when they was hitting us. No, bleep. Like they were cussing our guys out. Like they were pissed. And they played with so much more emotion because of that. I believe that's the major reason that the game played out like it did. Penn State was extremely pissed, and they came in like it. And West Virginia was nervous because they were having to live up to a lot of pressure. You get told all offseason that you're a Big 12 title contender. You get told all offseason that you're going to beat Penn State. Pat McAfee saying Garrett Green's going to run wild. Like, I could go on and on and on. And then there's a weather delay at halftime. So, and things that break West Virginia's way. Obviously, the pass interference before the half. There was the running into the punter thing that some people think should have been called. I don't know. Penn State certainly didn't get all the calls, but they got a lot of calls, especially the one right before the half. That's a 13-6 ball game at half, right? If the Hail Mary pass doesn't happen. So, and it was 100% for sure not a catch. I've already went back and looked. And it was 100% for sure a push-off, right? So those are my thoughts. But I feel like all that had, played a huge part. If they call the OPI, we don't have the weather delay, it's 100% different game. Yeah, exactly. And I know, like people told me last week, if butts were candy and nuts, it'd be Christmas every day. I get that. But I'm paid to speculate on what could have or should have happened, right? So I have to sit here and think about that and play the what-if game. And to some extent, it's true. If the push-off doesn't happen and it's not called, that's a 13-6 game at half. West Virginia feels really good. This one fly will not get off my camera lens. Call stands. What's that mean? A few calls were big shifters. Yeah, definitely were. So, yeah, Pitt is next, and they're coming in. They're playing well. Look, they haven't played well, but they got a lot of confidence, and they 100% can believe they can win this game. West Virginia's looked bad in 2 games, in my opinion. I don't think we looked relatively even on offense. I thought we were kind of like today, right? Like I didn't really even like our offense a whole lot all the time today. We had some good moments on offense, but we had some drops again. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but defensively, absolutely, they've got to be looking and saying we can move the ball against those guys, right? So there's definitely something to it. All right, guys, thank you for joining in this post-game report on West Virginia and Albany. At the end of the day, guys, what matters? West Virginia got the W, right? That's what matters. Let's go over some player stats really quick before we jump off of here. I mean, you did score 7 touchdowns in the game. That's, it's not horrible. But it was a 28-14 halftime game. So I think that's, to me, that's, in my opinion anyways, that's a lot to do with why I was kind of worried. All right, so let me click on this. All right. But, yeah, Albany's going to be a player in the FCS this year. I do believe that. 100%. They've got a lot of talent. All right, on the box score. Miles Burkett goes 18 of 39, and some of you math people could maybe do a little bit better of completion percentage on that, because I don't know exactly what it is. But it looks like it's, let's see, it's just under 50%, right? 18 to 39, 306 yards, 7.8 yards per throw, a touchdown. So he only had 1 touchdown pass. It seems like it was way worse, doesn't it? But it's just, this is the part that bothers me the most. Let me pull the screen up. Because this is an FCS team, right? This is what bothers me the most, I think. This. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with more than 3 catches. So that's why when somebody earlier was saying it was just Hollis, what? If it was just Hollis, Seven McGee would have 11 catches, right, for 200 yards or whatever. First of all, McGee got cramped up and hurt, or he probably would have done more damage. But they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total guys that caught a ball, and 5 of those guys caught 3 or more. And they have some athletes over there. Those guys are better than average FCS players. On the West Virginia side, Cole Taylor, Hudson Clement, Traylon Ray, Rodney Gallagher, who had a good game on both sides of the ball, by the way. Justin Robinson had a couple quick catches. I thought he was going to do more. And Darius Farmer should have caught a touchdown. I was really hoping for that. Nico looked really good when he came in, by the way. He threw a couple dimes. The one to Preston should have been a touchdown. On defense, I haven't even mentioned this yet. This kid here looted 11 tackles, 7 solo. He had to have a game. He had 3 kids with 10 or more tackles. They came to play, didn't they? Anthony Wilson had 6 tackles, 2 solo. Who had the sacks, though? That's what I wanted to see. Sean Martin, TJ Jackson, 2 sacks. That's it. I thought we had more. It's not good enough. But Anthony Wilson had 6. Ben Cutter had 5. Trey Lathan had 5. Reed Carrico had 4. Reed had a good game. 4 solo tackles from Reed Carrico. Reed, I feel like, played really consistent ball today. Jaheim Joseph continues to play really well. There's one guy in our secondary that looks good. Tyron Bradley seems to be doing okay off the edge. Ty French has been a non-factor. I really had a lot of hope for him. Caden Miser had some plays. Kikora Tardu had a couple plays. Didn't even hear Aubrey Burks' name hardly today. Josiah Trotter, so far, the single most impressive player maybe on the team through 2 weeks. He's the most talented defensive player we've had. We'll be so lucky to keep him, guys. I know he likes West Virginia, and he chose West Virginia and all that, but he's going to be really hard to keep. He's going to be one of those guys that probably end up getting offered several million in the portal. It's going to be hard to keep him. I hope we do, though. Even Aiden Tungaloa Nelson got some play today. That's good to see. Sean Hunt had a sack, which was good to see. TJ Jackson played pretty well today. I saw Nate Gabriel out there. So we had a lot of guys that played pretty well. Even Samarco had a catch today, which was pretty nice to see. Preston Fox only had 1 catch, and I think that's why that body language was like it was. The play after he missed the catch from Nico, that had a lot to do with it. But, look at these receiving numbers from West Virginia, guys. Not blowing you away. Nobody with more than 50 passing yards, but we did have a lot of guys that caught the ball. I don't know how to take that. The combination of CJ and Jaheim was great. And Garrett, right? Three-headed monster was back again with 225, 200, basically 275, right? Right around 275 rushing yards. We'll take that. We'll take that. We'll take that every week, please. But if I had to point to one thing, Garrett Green was 17 of 23 today. What 53% completion percentage today was he? And Day Farmer dropped the ball in the end zone, and somebody else dropped the ball. So Garrett Green looked a lot better today. Bill, you know what? I have completely ignored Hoops from the Hills, and I apologize. I need to get back on there. Here's the thing. There's not a lot of basketball content. We had two guys come, and I did a video on Locked On West Virginia about it. You know, I don't know what else to talk about with basketball. There's some recruiting stuff happening. I'll have to dig in and talk about it, I guess. I need to get back on there and do some stuff before I lose the channel. Cutter looks like a tank, yeah. Why are you still here, Jay? I mean, just like I'm talking about Pitt State, you're here. Why are you here? You know? It's like, can you not see that you're doing the same thing? Or are you that oblivious? Think about it, man. You're sitting here accusing me of talking about Penn State, and you're here checking on West Virginia at the same time. Come on, man. Makes no sense. All right, guys. Thank you for joining today. Appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I complained a lot. This is not normally me if you're new around here. Those of you on X, which was the 111 of you watching, come over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. I am 99% of the time I'm very positive, but today I was fired up over the defense. So keep coming back. Really appreciate you guys so much. And we'll talk to you next time. But until then, guys, this episode of Locked On West Virginia is over and I'm out. And before we go, have to say one more thing. If I can find it. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Thank you for making me your first listen tonight after the game, but make your second listen Locked On College Football. Go check out the Locked On College Football podcast because NIL, they've got NIL deals, never-ending conference realignment rumors. Spencer McLaughlin, who has one of the greatest voices in the business right now, he gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron. You can find the link to Locked On College Football in the description box, so you don't really even have to search for it. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team, and that's every day. Good night.